It was a quiet night on the great alien research station in deep space. The station moved slowly around a dying star, and thousands of scanners watched the universe for many years. The alien scientists searched for new life and weak young worlds. They believed they were old, wise, and greater than every other species in the galaxy. On this night, a small alert appeared on the main screen. The sound was soft, but every scientist turned at once. A strange signal was coming from a small blue planet at the edge of a spiral galaxy. The signal was broken and noisy, full of old waves and random sounds. But inside the noise, there was something different, something that felt alive. The commander of the station, Varin, stood in front of the screen. He spoke in a calm voice, but his mind was sharp and careful. He ordered the team to zoom in and study the world. The name of the planet appeared in alien symbols, translated slowly by the system. Earth. At first, the team expected a simple world. They thought they would see forests, oceans, animals, small villages, and slow mines. They believed the life on Earth would be weak and unimportant. But when the scan went deeper, the room became quiet. No one expected what they saw next. Across the planet they saw cities full of light, tall towers touching the sky, roads filled with fast machines, metal birds flying through clouds, great ships moving over dark oceans. This world was not primitive. This world was not asleep. The aliens opened old signal records from space around Earth. They heard voices, music, laughter, crying, speeches, fear, and hope. They saw history in fragments, wars, disasters, fire, destruction, and pain. But every time humans fell, they stood up again and again. One scientist whispered, in shock, this species should be gone by now. But humans were still alive. Not only alive, they were stronger. The scanners showed scenes of ruined cities rebuilt, broken lands healed, lost lives remembered. And every time the world tried to crush them, humans continued forward. The commander watched human faces on the screen. He did not see fear inside their eyes. He saw something else. He saw will, a dangerous and powerful will. The research system measured the threat level. It showed simple numbers and logic. Humans had limited space travel, no faster than light ships, no star weapons, no great galactic fleet. According to logic, they should be harmless, but nothing about humans felt harmless. Every time life tried to erase them, they adapted. When the world grew cold, they survived. When the world burned, they survived. When they fought each other, they still survived. One researcher spoke softly, almost afraid. If they ever reach the stars, they will not stop. The commander did not disagree. He ordered a small probe to be sent to Earth. The team wanted to watch more closely. To understand this strange and stubborn species, the probe moved into Earth's orbit. The live feed appeared. On the screen, clouds, oceans, cities, lights, signals. Then suddenly, the feed went dark. No signal returned. No data, no sound, only silence. The operator tried again and again, but the probe was gone. A second probe was launched. The room watched in tense silence. The signal reached orbit. The image blinked once and disappeared. 2 probes lost. No debris, no damage, no answer, just silence. The station crew did not speak. Their hearts grew heavy with a new feeling, not curiosity, not anger, fear, because in that silent moment, they understood one terrible truth. Earth was not simply being watched. Earth was watching back. And somewhere on that blue planet, humans had already seen the sky. Humans had already noticed them. And the galaxy was no longer sure who was the observer and who was the prey. The watchers after the loss of the 2 probes. The alien research station did not sleep. The lights inside the control hall stayed dim. The screens kept glowing softly. And every scientist stood in silence, thinking about Earth. Commander Varin did not shout. He did not panic. He only watched the empty signal channel and felt a quiet fear inside his mind. 2 probes gone without a trace. No explosion, no damage, no warning, only silence. To the aliens, silence was not normal. Silence meant control. Silence meant power. And now, Earth was silent. The Council of Scene researchers gathered inside the great circular chamber. The walls were covered with maps of galaxies, star routes, and species records. Each species had a category: peaceful, wild, dangerous, harmless, curious, weak, aggressive. But there was no category for humans yet. a young scientist named Ryle opened the human archive files. There were recordings of history taken from random signals in space, old radio transmissions, news fragments, documentary audio. Many pieces were broken, but together they painted a story, a long, painful story. The council watched scenes of war, cities burning, skies full of smoke, people running, crying, fighting, and refusing to give up. They watched disaster after disaster, floods, storms, disease, fire, famine. Every event looked like the end of the world, yet humans survived every time. One elder researcher spoke in a slow voice. "This species does not live in peace, it lives in struggle," another replied. "And still, it grows stronger." They studied human culture, books translated by machine systems, old speeches, songs full of grief and courage. They saw anger, hope, love, fear, bravery, and stubborn hearts. Humans argued with each other, fought each other, hurt each other, but they also protected each other, healed each other, saved each other. No species in the database was like them. Rael paused on one image, a human standing in ruins, covered in dust and ash. The human was tired, broken, injured, but still standing. The alien council did not understand. How could a fragile body hold so much strength? The threat system updated again. Logically, humans were still a low-level civilization. Their technology was limited. Their ships could not leave their star system. Their weapons could not reach the stars, but the psychological profile was different. Humans did not fear pain. They did not surrender to chaos. They learned from every wound. They used every scar as memory. One researcher whispered, "They are not strong because they avoid death. They are strong because they walk beside it." The room grew colder. The council replayed the probe signal logs. Right before the feed vanished, there was a very small distortion, almost invisible, but it was not natural. Something had scanned the probe, measured it, judged it, then removed it without a trace. That meant one terrifying thing: humans were not confused by alien technology. They understood it, maybe not fully, but enough to act. Commander Varin turned to the council. His voice was controlled and serious. "This world is not blind. They have seen the stars," he said, "and they have chosen silence." Silence was not an accident. Silence was a message. No greeting, no fear, no panic, only a quiet warning. The council changed Earth's classification. Not primitive world, not young species, but something new. Observation required. Do not interfere. From that moment forward, the aliens stopped watching Earth as hunters and started watching Earth as students, because now they understood. Humans were not simply surviving their world. Humans were training inside it, and somewhere on that blue planet, eyes were still looking back at the stars, calm, patient, waiting, and the watchers of the galaxy were no longer sure who was watching whom. The experiment, the alien council did not forget the missing probes. They did not treat it as a mistake. They treated it as a lesson. Earth was silent, Earth was watching, and Earth was not weak. But the scientists still needed answers. They needed proof. They needed to know how much humans understood, so they prepared a new plan. This time, not a normal probe, not a simple machine, a learning probe. It could change shape, hide inside clouds, copy signals, and observe without being seen. The team worked in silence. Their hands moved carefully across glowing panels. Every wire, every sensor, every line of code mattered, because this was not exploration anymore. This was survival. Commander Varin watched the launch bay. His thoughts were heavy. He did not fear many worlds, but Earth was different, not because of power, but because of will. When the probe was ready, the doors of the station opened, and the small silent machine began its journey toward the blue planet. No one spoke, no one moved, they only watched the screen. The probe entered Earth's outer orbit. It did not send strong signals. It stayed quiet. It copied human satellites. It blended into traffic patterns. For the first time, the image did not disappear. They saw clouds, oceans, storms, and cities again. They saw nightlights glowing across continents. The room filled with slow relief. Maybe this time, they would succeed. The probe followed radio trails, old recordings, new transmissions, navigation signals, military bands, weather satellites. There was order in the chaos. Humans were not careless. They were organized. Even when the system looked broken, there was structure behind it. One researcher spoke in wonder. They build systems that fall apart, and then they build them again. The probe drifted lower, still hidden, still silent, and then it detected something unusual, a signal, not from space, not from orbit, but from the ground. It was small, focused, sharp, not human communication, not civilian, not random noise. It was a scan. The probe paused automatically. Its systems froze for safety. The alien crew watched closely, their hearts tense and cold. The signal touched the probe, measured it, mapped it, just like before. But this time, the probe did not vanish. Instead, something new happened. The probe received a reply, not a greeting, not a warning, a reflection. The signal bounced back at the exact same frequency, perfectly mirrored. Like a voice repeating itself, the aliens stared at the data, confused, afraid. Humans had not destroyed the probe. They had tested it. They wanted to see how it reacted. This was no accident. This was deliberate. The council watched as the ground signal faded away. No attack, no capture, just observation. They are doing to us, Rael whispered, what we are doing to them. The room grew silent again. The psychological profile updated. Not prey, not predator. Analyst species. They did not rush. They did not panic. They studied. They waited. They prepared. The probe moved across another region of Earth. It passed near military zones, large bases, hidden facilities. But everywhere it went, the same thing happened. It was noticed, measured, acknowledged, then left alone. The aliens did not feel relief. They felt something deeper, respect. Humans were not acting with fear. They were acting with confidence. They were saying without words, we see you, we understand you, and we choose patience. Commander Varen closed his eyes for a moment. His voice was low and steady. This is no experiment anymore. They are not the subject. We are. And for the first time, the scientists realized the truth they had never imagined. Humans were not waiting to discover the galaxy. Humans were waiting for the galaxy to reveal itself. And when that day came, the galaxy would not be ready. The Truth Ellerining probe kept watching Earth from silent orbit. The alien crew kept studying every signal and every movement. But now, their feelings were different. Before, they looked at Earth like a subject. Now, they looked at Earth like a mirror. They were no longer asking, what are humans? They were asking, what are we to them? Commander Varen reviewed the probe's latest recordings. Road systems, transport networks, communication grids. Everywhere he looked, there was one clear truth. Humans lived in chaos, but they did not break. They survived inside storms that would destroy other species. They built order inside confusion. They created meaning inside pain, and they did it again and again. Rael studied deeper layers of human archives. History files grew clearer as translation improved. Wars that looked meaningless at first now showed patterns. Humans fought each other. But through every conflict, they learned strategy. They learned adaptation. They learned how to think in crises. Humans were not shaped by peace. They were shaped by struggle. The Council finally understood. Earth was not dangerous because of its weapons. Earth was dangerous because of its experience. The psychological model changed again. This species did not fear loss. It did not fear conflict. It did not fear suffering, because it had lived with all of them for thousands of years. The probe passed over mountains and deserts, then over great cities bright with light. Everywhere it looked, humans worked, argued, built, planned, and dreamed. They were fragile in body, but powerful in spirit, and the aliens could not understand how both things were true. The probe detected another hidden ground signal, calm, steady, controlled. It was not an attack. It was not defensive fire. It was acknowledgement, like a hand raised in silence, saying, we know you are there. The signal traced the probe again, measured speed, power, material, structure, then stopped. It did nothing more. The room inside the station felt colder. Humans were not afraid of the probe. They were studying it, just as carefully as the aliens studied them. Varen spoke softly. They have chosen not to react. Not because they cannot, but because they do not need to. That silence was not weakness. It was control. The Council reviewed hidden patterns in human technology growth, slow changes, then sudden leaps, breakthroughs after disasters, innovation after crisis. Every tragedy had turned into progress. Humans did not just survive hardship. They used it. Rael looked at the data and finally understood. Humans were not unprepared, they were preparing constantly. Their world was a training ground, a place that tested them every century, every generation, and each time, they came back stronger. The galaxy had always believed strength came from comfort, but humans proved the opposite. Their strength came from pain, their courage came from fear, their unity came from disaster. That was the truth. The aliens had discovered a species that did not grow despite suffering. It grew because of it. Commander Varin closed the human archives. His voice was quiet but heavy. This is not a young race. This is an ancient spirit inside a young world. The Council changed Earth's status again. Not observation required. Not danger level, unknown, but something far more rare. Respect priority, contact delay, because now they knew. Contacting humans too early would not shape humans, it would shape the galaxy. And somewhere on that blue planet, human eyes still watched the sky, calm, patient, silent, not asking for help, not asking for peace, simply waiting, and the aliens finally understood why. Humans were not wondering whether they would reach the stars one day. Humans were deciding what kind of beings they would be when they finally arrived there. The message the Alien Council believed they understood humans now. They believed they had seen enough. But the learning probe continued its silent path above Earth, and then something unexpected happened. For the first time, the signal did not come from a hidden base or a quiet research station. It came from space itself. A small transmission rose from near Earth's orbit. Not strong, not aggressive, just calm and focused. The probe detected it instantly. The signal was shaped with great care, balanced, steady, and controlled. It was not noise, it was not a scan, it was a message. The station crew froze. No one spoke, no one breathed. Humans were not replying by accident this time. They were speaking on purpose. Commander Varin ordered. Full recording, every sensor, every analyzer, every translator activated at once. The message repeated in a simple rhythm, soft, measured, patient, not a greeting, not curiosity, something else. The translation system worked slowly, piece by piece, meaning by meaning, until finally, words appeared on the main screen. Short words, simple words, but heavy like gravity. We know. The room fell silent. No introduction, no fear, no panic, just awareness, just certainty. Humans had known for a long time. The message continued. We see the Watchers, we do not. Reach for you. We are still learning. We are still becoming. Plipsky say. The Council watched the words with cold shock. There was no anger inside them. No threat. Only calm strength. Humans were not asking for contact. They were not begging for knowledge. They were choosing patience. The probe received a second transmission. Different tone, same control. We are not ready for the stars, but one day, we will be. Not spoken with pride, not spoken with arrogance, spoken like a promise to themselves. The aliens listened carefully. Every word felt deliberate. Every pause felt meaningful. We do not run from our world. We face it. We break. We heal. We rise. The psychological model updated again. No species in the database had ever spoken like this. Humans were not afraid of failure. They accepted it. They used it. They grew through it. Another sentence appeared. Simple. Quiet, dangerous. When we come to the stars, we will come as survivors, not conquerors, not slaves, not victims, survivors, survivors. The station crew felt a deep chill, not fear of war, not fear of attack, fear of potential. Commander Varin whispered slowly, they are warning us, but not about us, about themselves. Because humans did not see themselves as weak or strong, they saw themselves as unfinished. Still changing, still improving, still evolving. The last part of the message arrived, shorter than all the others, and it changed everything. We will meet you, not today, not soon, but when we arrive, we will not hide. Then the signal faded, softly, calmly, no disruption, no destruction, just silence again. But this silence was different, not threatening, not hostile, a respectful silence, a silence that said, your move. The Alien Council did not cheer. They did not celebrate discovery. They bowed their heads, because, for the first time in galactic history, a young world had spoken not with fear, not with pride, but with dignity. And somewhere on that blue planet, humans continued living, falling, rising, struggling, learning, preparing. not to escape their world, but to carry its lessons with them into the stars. The HFY climax, the message from Earth faded into silence. The space around the alien station felt heavier than before, not because of fear, but because of understanding. For a long time, the galaxy had looked at young worlds like children, fragile, simple, easy to control, but humans were not children. They were something else. Commander Varen stood before the great viewing window. Stars stretched across the dark sky, cold, endless, ancient, yet somewhere among those stars, there was a small blue world, filled with fragile bodies and unbreakable spirits. The Council replayed the human message again and again. Every word sounded calm, measured, careful, not desperate, not afraid, ready. Rael spoke in a quiet voice. We searched for weakness, but we found strength. Not the strength of weapons, not the strength of armies, the strength of hearts that refused to fall. The probe continued its silent orbit around Earth, watching cities glow through the night, watching storms move across oceans, watching life continue without hesitation. Humans worked, fought, loved, suffered, healed, dreamed. They did not know when first contact would come. They did not know how the galaxy would react, but they did not stop living. That was their power. The Council updated Earth's record one final time. Not observe, not caution, not risk. A new classification, a rare one, potential apex species, not because they ruled the stars, but because one day they could, if they chose to. The alien station broadcast.